MTC oil, butter, or cream, yeah, to make your coffee. Now you just have to be really aware that your macros can just add up really fast, and I've worked out a few just to give you an idea. So if you were to make a bulletproof coffee with a tablespoon of MTC oil, that's 18.8 grams of fat, a tablespoon of butter, that's 15.6 grams of fat, a tablespoon of coconut oil, which is 16.9 grams of fat, and a tablespoon of pure cream, that's 7.4 grams of fat. Just from that one drink alone, that's over 60 grams of fat. So that could be half your macros, or even 3/4 of your macros. So you have to be really, really aware of what your macros are, how much fat you are eating, and adjust your drink accordingly. I don't drink a lot of bulletproof coffee and that anymore. I used to, but I've now changed, as most of you know, to a smart coffee, which helps with suppressing hunger and cravings and stuff like that, and I don't have to add as much fat. So I'll have a cup of smart coffee with a tablespoon of MTC oil, so I'm having about 19-20 grams of fat in that, and that's enough for me. There is also, you also can get coffee creamers, and there's a lot out there on the market. I use one occasionally. They've got a place. I add mine, when I'm out and about. I carry some in my bag if I end up going somewhere and people don't have the things that I normally add to my coffee. I've got it there, but really a tablespoon or a scoop of a creamer is usually, between 6 and 8 grams of fat, so it doesn't have as much fat. And also a lot of other brands have a lot of fillers and a lot of additives that aren't keto, so you have to be really, really careful and just read the ingredients. Like if they wax something and says it's keto, it necessarily isn't. People are jumping on the keto bandwagon, so that's why I use the one that I do, because I've researched it, and for me it's got one of the highest percentages of fat for a powdered creamer. It doesn't have any nasty additives or fillers. It does go a long way. It's a huge big tub. So for me, that's why I chose that, because I'm quite fussy about what I have. But if you're, depending on your type of style of keto, some people aren't as worried about those things. But just be really careful that you're not being taken advantage of. So I just thought I would just quickly show you how I would make a fat coffee. If I was to have a bulletproof coffee, I only really use them now before I go on a fast, which I'm going to do tomorrow because hubby's going away, so it's a perfect opportunity. So I've already made my coffee. It's a long black. I used the machine so it wouldn't take as much. Now what I do is I add a couple of grains of pink salt. So I've got some in my pinch bowl. So I add a couple of grains of pink salt to my coffee. It takes some of the bitterness away, but it's also a quick way to get some electrolytes into you. If I'm going to go on a fast, I add some collagen powder, but it's not needed. And again, it's high in protein, so you really need to make sure that it's going to fit into your macros. If you're going to have a drink like this and drink half your macros in a day, you could be setting yourself up for failure, especially if you're just starting out in keto. When you start out, it is good to have a little bit more fat at the beginning, just to sustain you, to take away, the cravings and the hunger. But it's not something you want to do long term, especially for weight loss. So yeah, I just use a scoop of collagen powder if I'm using it, but I only really use it if I'm just going to go on a fast, or I've just lost a lot of weight and I'm wanting to tighten up a bit on my skin and that. But if you're using bone broth regularly, there's collagen in that, and your body can actually absorb the collagen in the bone broth a lot more easily. So then I add some MTC oil. Now with MTC oil, if you haven't used it before, start off slow. Start off with only like a teaspoon. So I've just put a tablespoon of that in. Just start off with a teaspoon and build up, because if your body's not used to it, you can be very busy on the toilet for the day. I am going to add some butter in this one, but I'm not going to add coconut oil as well. I've got it here, but I'm not going to add that. And to my, because it's morning, I've already added my Smart Coffee to my coffee mixture, just for a little bit of energy and all the other great benefits that I get from it. And then what I've been using lately is I used to always, I'll go back a bit, I used to always use one of these, an immersion blender. You can stick it in and you whiz it all up, and it's great. But lately I have found this little beauty, and it is so much easier. I'll just try and show. So make sure your butter is at room temperature, and it just mixes it in so much easily. And you can just take one of these little immersion blender, these little handheld whisks, you know, with you. You can keep one at the office. They're just really, really handy to have. Now, if you want a bit more of a creamy coffee in that, you could add a little bit of cream, or add some powdered keto creamer. But, you know, for me, that's enough fat for me for the day for my coffee, because I'll be eating something later on today, and then I'll be fasting tomorrow. Yes, I've just lost my train of thought, as I always do. Yeah, so just be really aware of the type and how much fat that it is fitting into your macros, and being careful that you're not spending money on things that, you know, that you don't really need. So that's right, I was talking about this. So I found this so handy. So we are going to have a contest within the group, and a couple of people are going to have the opportunity to win these, and maybe even some sticks of Smart Coffee. So I'll be putting that in our group. If you're not a member of our group, it's Keto Life Way of Eating, or just put a comment below saying that you want to know more. In our little group, our little community, we do like free meal plans that I use for my family, that I just share with you for ideas, or if you want to copy them exactly. They're budget friendly, family friendly. Like I've got a large family, so just half or quarter of it if there's only one or two of you. I give all my recipes that I've written or converted for free as well. Really supportive group that, you know, we don't have any nastiness, thankfully, in this group, and we just encourage each other. And it doesn't matter what type of or what style of keto, everyone's welcome. I share the style that I have been using and having great success with, but you don't have to follow that kind of keto. It's one I recommend, but it's, you know, it's everyone's journey is individual. So that's what I just wanted to show you, was just, yeah, how I make my fat coffee, and just to be really careful about what other things there are out on the market. Read labels, check them, and just, yeah, compare the amount of fat in them. Some of these bought keto creamers or keto coffees, you know, if you're paying 60, or I don't know how much they are, but, you know, are they worth what they are? I mean, you could quite easily just make a coffee. You know, a bottle of MTC oil is between, I don't know, $20 and $30, but it will last